Humans, or in other words, Homo sapiens. We all live on a planet called Earth for at least 200,000 years. A species that has managed to become one of the most advanced among others, struggling to discover space. However, in the modern world of everyday life, not every one of us thinks about where is our past, where is our present, and most importantly, where is our future? Space, a dark, cold, and unknown endless place on which our planet Earth and many others are located. Today, we will tell you the story of the Red Planet, the planet where the first life could probably have originated, the place that could become the new home for all mankind. Its name is Mars. Let's dive into the history of this fascinating planet and secrets it hides. Named after Mars, the ancient Roman god of war sometimes is called the Red Planet because of the reddish color of the surface, when the solar system assumed its present plan about 4.5 billion years ago. Mars formed under the action of gravity, which attracted swirling gas and dust, and became the fourth planet in the solar system from the Sun, and the seventh in size and mass. Mars, the same like Earth, is in the solar system, which in turn is only a small part of the Milky Way galaxy. Its minor planet, larger than Mercury, but almost half the diameter of Earth and total area, is approximately equal to the entire land area of the Earth. The equatorial radius of Mars is 3,396 kilometers, and the average polar radius is 3,379 kilometers. Its mass is 6.418 multiply 1,023 kilograms, which is 10 times less than the mass of the Earth, and the acceleration of free fall on its surface is 3.72 meters per second in square. This means that objects on Mars weigh only a third of the weight of Earth. Mars has rotation period and seasonal cycles very similar to Earth's. One day on Mars is equal to 24.6 hours, and 1 year on Mars is equal to 687 Earth days. The neighboring planet of our Earth impresses us not only with its red surface, but also with its satellites, the two large objects, Phobos and Deimos. The first and largest of them is Phobos, which means fear in Greek. This moon is very close to Mars and is moving extremely fast, so much so that it could land on the planet in a matter of millions of years. Phobos also has a very unusual potato-like shape with a large crater that almost covers its surface. The second satellite of Mars is Deimos, which translates as terror. Deimos is smaller than Phobos, but moves far from Mars and much more slowly. It looks like a small light stone, and its origin added mystery to the question of the appearance of these satellites. It was found that Phobos and Deimos are probably remnants of collisions of Mars with other objects in the space. They are important objects for scientific research, and future missions to Mars may help unlock their secrets. Mars has captured our imagination for centuries. Its rusty landscape, polar ice, and mysterious features have always raised questions. Like other terrestrial planets, it has a central core, a rocky mantle, and a solid crust. The rarefied atmosphere on Mars consists of 95% carbon dioxide, 3% nitrogen, 1.6% argon, and contains traces of oxygen, methane, and water, making this planet currently uninhabitable until humanity decides to take such an important step as a terraforming process. Because the atmosphere is very thin and the magnetic field is very weak and unstable, it cannot protect against radiation and other emissions from space, which make it more difficult for colonization. Phenomenal dust storms is another danger phenomenon on this planet. It can grow so big that cover the entire planet and can be seen from the space. Temperatures can be so low that atmospheric carbon dioxide condenses directly into snow or frost. And earthquakes, the Martian version of an earthquake, shake things up regularly. So it's no surprise that this little red rock continues to intrigue scientists and is one of the most studied bodies in the solar system according to NASA science. One of the incredible object called Mount Olympus, size of which is 22,456 meters, the highest known mountain in the solar system, is located on its surface. And also we can spot meteorite craters, the same as on the Moon, volcanoes, valleys and deserts similar to those on Earth. Due to its greater distance from the Sun, Mars receives 57% less energy than Earth. The average annual temperature reaches -60 degrees Celsius, although the surface temperature changes significantly during the day. For example, in the southern hemisphere at a latitude of 50 degrees, the temperature in mid-autumn ranges from -18 degrees Celsius afternoon to -63 degrees Celsius at the evening. However, at a depth of 25 meters below the surface, the temperature almost constantly remains at the level of -60 degrees Celsius and does not depend on the season. The maximum recorded values of the surface temperature do not exceed a few degrees above 0 degrees Celsius, and the minimum values registered on the northern polar cap are -138 degrees Celsius. Under the surface of Mars, in some areas, there is a layer of permafrost of several kilometers thick. In such areas, frozen streams unusual for terrestrial planets are visible on the surface of the craters, which can be used to conclude about the presence of subsurface ice. It means that many interesting things can be found. Currently, there is no scientific evidence for the existence of life on Mars, although it is assumed that it may be there. Even before the beginning of flights to Mars, he was the first candidate for the detection of extraterrestrial life there. After all, the ice samples found on Mars are one of the conditions for the existence of life. One of the most exciting recent discoveries of our time is the presence of liquid water on Mars, which makes it incredibly important. It could have huge potential for new discoveries and opportunities to detect new life forms and give us a clearer understanding of what Mars is. According to the latest data, in the past, the surface of Mars was covered by seas. However, for still unknown reasons, it has practically disappeared. One version of the water loss on Mars is the result of the solar wind. About 3 billion years ago, the climate on Mars is reported to have been warm and humid. This is confirmed by the topography of the planet. Mars appears to have had a watery past, with ancient networks of river valleys, deltas and lake beds, and surface rocks and minerals that could only have formed in liquid water. Some features indicate that about 3.5 billion years ago, Mars experienced huge floods. Since the early 1960s, we've sent dozens of spacecraft to Mars, half of which have managed to send data about the surface back to Earth. The most famous device may be the Curiosity rover, which landed on the planet in 2012 and constantly transmits information about the surface. An interesting and, according to many, slightly sad fact about Curiosity is that because it is single, it sings itself happy birthday every year. NASA is currently conducting many different missions to Mars simultaneously, with the intention of exploring and analyzing the planet to give us a deeper understanding of how its climate, atmosphere, and geology work. The Mars Global Surveyor did something incredible from 1996 to 2001. This global mapping mission analyzed the entire planet, including its ionosphere, atmosphere, best landing sites for future probes, and surface telemetry. The plane crashed in 2007, but the information it gathered is still invaluable today. A major part of our missions to Mars is to find life there, or to discover that life did exist at some point. But Mars is barren today. NASA's Mars exploration program has a very specific mission called Searching for Signs of Life, and hopefully it can give us more insight into this subject. So what does the future bring? There are many missions set to launch in the near future, mainly to further explore the surface of Mars, and not just from NASA, as other space agencies such as SpaceX, China's National Space Administration, and the United Arab Emirates Space Center are currently interested in studying the planet as well. Most of these missions are focused on sending unmanned spacecrafts to the surface of Mars, but human missions are likely to be occurring very, very soon to make Mars our second home. As humanity facing a lot of different struggles on a planet, such as ecological problems, risk of humanity being erased from the face of Earth because of viruses, pandemias, either some asteroid fallen on Earth, or nuclear wars, which could erase humanity from the face of Earth. Many people also believe that after humanity will become a space-live species, it will get a huge leap in many fields, such as science, military affairs, technologies, a new order of geopolitics, and management of state and planetary structures. But most importantly, her views on the world will be radically different from a human who lives on the Earth today. One of the well-known companies called SpaceX intends to establish a human settlement on the planet permanently and is set to launch new program in near future. As it was mentioned by our owner, SpaceX Elon Musk, the company preparing to a mission to send a first human to Mars in 5 to 10 years on the special crafted space rocket named Starship. With its help, the company plans to send a flotilla of hundreds of Starships in near future, which will deliver at least 1 million people to Mars by 2050. One of the stages of the cosmic expansion of mankind will be construction of various complexes and structures as small cities on Mars and their human settlement. That will allow building a powerful infrastructure so that people remain independent from bringing resources from Earth. After the finishing first colonization projects, scientists are going to work on the next stages, such as terraforming. It'll involve changing the planet's climate to bring the atmosphere, temperature, and environmental conditions to a state suitable for terrestrial plants and animals, so the conditions on a planet could literally become like on Earth. But before that can happen, we, humans, need to pass a long way of first stage. Mars is the planet that requires the least amount of energy to travel from Earth, except for Venus. The trip on the most economical semi-elliptical orbit will take about 9 months, and as the initial speed increases, the flight time will decrease rapidly, as the length of the trajectory will also decrease. With technology and engineering advancing in great leaps all the time, it's likely we'll soon learn even more about a planet that has turned many eyes to the sky since the inception of civilization. We can live on Earth and not go anywhere, but one day we can disappear like the dinosaurs, or we can become a true interplanetary civilization that reaches the edges of space. Our goal is to move from reconnaissance missions to building a full-fledged city on Mars, said Elon Musk. Join us to learn more about these unusual moons of Mars and other mysteries of our solar system.